Okay, great. And then also the second and last thing I need to ask you is just to confirm that my background changes. Great. So good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you again to this Afternoon with Architects and to tell you how excited I am that you might be coming to the School of Architecture and Urban Planning here at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. My name is José Ibarra, and I'm the 2019-2020 Urban Edge Fellow. You've already heard from faculty about the many opportunities that exist in the school for practicing, researching, and engaging with the community. But since we all would have loved to have you here today and show you around, I thought I'd take this chance to walk with you to our building and just tell you about another great part of SARUP, which is the fellowship culture. So for context, we're standing at the Commons right now, which is a shared common space in the building where events, workshops, and presentations take place. But now I'm going to get to the gist of it, which is precisely the fellowship. For several years now, the school has hired fellows like me, early career scholars and practitioners, and given us space, time, and resources to develop classes and projects that advance our field and that expose students like you to new ideas and possibilities. These fellowships are teaching and research position that let the fellows explore ideas of the discipline and practice of architecture that they're curious about. So for example, testing materials and methods of construction, translating conceptual ideas and theories into design work, pushing the limits of form, experimenting with digital technologies, and so on. And since the fellows test all these things with students, it is precisely people like you who get to participate in advancing scholarly work by doing things that you may not have heard of or thought about in a particular way. So we do research on our own, but also by teaching classes that you get to take. So this particular year, SARUP has had two fellows, Michael Jefferson and me. And while Michael has been testing the possibilities of machine learning against architecture and space making, I've been studying sites of ecological and social unrest, asking the question, how can architecture renegotiate its limits with a quickly changing environment? And to answer this prompt, the 2019-2020 academic year at SARUP has seen a myriad of classes, performances, presentations, and other work that has activated the school spaces and I hope the students' minds. So the images that you see here are part of a course that I taught last fall titled Post-Traumatic Architectures or the Productivity of Crises. And this was an advanced theory seminar that focused on the study and application of trauma, crisis, and remediation theories into architecture. Throughout the term, a combination of reading discussions, lectures, and workshops worked together to develop the critical thinking and technical skills that were necessary for rigorous architectural speculation. Seen here in particular is a performance put together by the students as the final assignment in the course, using the Model United Nations framework in order to discuss a specific case of sand extraction practices. So in this case, rather than each student embodying a different nation, they embodied different constituencies in the sand mining problem, which went from sand itself to a mangrove tree, a turtle, a fish, a fisherman, and more. That same semester, I also taught and coordinated a studio titled Designing Objects, Relationships, and Environments, for which you're seeing an image now. And this was the first studio of the 3-year Master of Architecture graduate curriculum. This formative studio synthesized spatial, cultural, and technical approaches to design by linking common issues across multiple scales of architectural experimentation. The course followed a series of 4 interrelated projects ranging in scale and which were meant to defamiliarize, abstract, and transform existing conditions in order to render visible new objects and relationships that were already filled with spatial potentials. The studio posited different animal species as the client for architectural provocations, arguing that in exploring the relationship between human and non-human species, students could practice an extreme case of designing from a perspective outside their own, which serves them well in the future when dealing with real clients, but that also teaches them lessons in thinking and designing ecologically. So aside from these courses, last semester, Michael and I also teamed up to create a series of soft events built around our work, but in service to the students. These included a picnic with renowned architect and Harvard GSD Associate Professor Jennifer Bonner, a panel discussion at the Chicago Architecture Biennial. There was an in-house conversation around pedagogy and practice, and a lot more. So I'm showing you precisely the building now so you get a sense of how we just activated every space that we could. During the spring, the fellows teach elective studios and often hire several research assistants who help translate our work into drawings, models, and buildings. Currently, for example, I'm teaching a studio that's titled Powers of Time, a studio dealing with the relative duration of things in the universe and the effects of adding another thing. My students are working hard to generate projects that oscillate between speculation, artifice, exaggeration, and optimism. using a series of urban crises as opportunities or chances for architecture to respond to rather than resolve problems of the Anthropocene. And this is precisely that studio. While I cannot tell you who the 2 incoming fellows will be next semester when you're coming, I can test nuanced ways in which architecture can be made, appreciated, consumed, and sampled. I encourage you to sign up for their courses, to ask how to get involved with their work, and to trust their teaching and research process. So welcome to SARUP.